Hi, I'm a member of the Tabletop One-Shot group on Facebook, better known as the OSG. The OSG exists to enable people to organize and play tabletop role-playing games similar to Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is the best-known tabletop role-playing game, but it's only one of hundreds that are played on the OSG and probably thousands that exist. There are many sites out there which discuss these games and where fans chat about them, and there are a few other sites that enable people to organize and play these games. But the OSG is my favorite because it's particularly rich in people who like theatre of the mind, which is a style of game that uses description and imagination to create the game world and what happens in it, rather than maps and figures or tokens to push around a map board. For me, Theatre of the Mind is a much more free-flowing, action-packed, and exciting form of game. And if it's one that you like, then you're in good company. Welcome to the OSG. But now that you've got here, how do you actually get into a game? Well, the administrator of the group, Ian Christensen, has created a very good video to explain that. But if you scroll down to the pinned post at the top of the OSG, this is the page you'll see when you first get there, and at the top there's a pinned post with the rules of this group. It's important that you read these rules and read them regularly because they are sometimes updated. If you break rules, you will be banned from the group and you won't be able to play games with us. Read the rules and make sure you follow them. Then once you've had a quick read through those, most of them actually apply to posting in the discussion page, but some apply to playing as well. Once you've read these rules, then open the comments, the 5 comments underneath, click on there and scroll down, and near the bottom you'll find a tutorial on how to OSG. Clicking on that will open a new screen explaining. Ian will explain to you how to actually use the group. But going back to the original page, I'd only like to add one point to Ian's, is that on the events page, at least for me, it tells you where what games are being organized, and other occasional events as well, but mostly games. And it also tells you when they're being played. For example, Daughter of Artemis. If I click on the event, it takes me to the event page, giving you more details of the game. People who are going, people who are invited, and a backstory. It's 4 people going, it's full, so there's no space, they're not taking any players. And it says it's being played on Tuesday the 4th of April at 10:30 a.m. That's 10:30 a.m. UTC plus 10, which I may not be sure of when that is. But if I click back to the events page here and scroll down to the same event, then Daughters of Artemis, it comes up as 2:30 a.m., which is my time for that. It's in the middle of the night, so it's full. It's not on in the middle of the night. I won't be getting up for that, though. To be quite honest, it's GM'd by Nick Dawson, who's a brilliant GM. So I have been known to get up at these crazy times to play Nick Dawson games. They're worth losing sleep for. But if you flick through the events page, you'll see different games being organised. Salvation, Boot Hill, Wild West game. 13th Age, I think, is a swashbuckling game. I've never played it. Curse of Strahd, D&D. Let's have a look at Curse of Strahd, for example. Curse of Strahd. 3 people going, 3 people invited. Session 18, so it's an ongoing campaign. You won't be able to join that one. Let's have a look at others. For example, Behind the Brass Door, 3 a.m. my time. Let's see what D&D 5e one-shot. It's a one-shot, so let's see. And this little thing saying 1 out of 4 means there are 4 they want 4 players, and they've filled one of those spots. So there's still 3 spaces available in that game. Let's see. Let's click on the event now and see what it tells us. Behind the Brass Door, D&D 5e one-shot run by, does it say who's running it? Lionel's going. It's Lionel and Chris Villeneuve. Anyway, the description of the game. You've heard rumours whilst travelling through the Neverwinter Wood of Worthford, a small hamlet found at the base of the crags. Worthford itself is a rather bland and unassuming place where many of its inhabitants make their living in the timber trade. But this isn't what drew you here. The rumour you heard was of a vast treasure found behind a great door of brass found in the crags. 3 to 4 players, level 6, 27 point buy, with no feats unless you choose a human variant race. Then it explains about these rules for how to determine hit points. You're allowed any class or race that's in the Player's Handbook or SCAG, the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. You're allowed the starting equipment from the book, plus maximum gold, and buy your equipment. Plus, you're allowed 2 common and 1 uncommon magic items from the DMG. Post interest and question in event. Please don't select going, because I'll pick, I think this is by Lionel de Hurt. I'll pick players if there's enough interest. Yep, Lionel de Hurt's posting just for reference and things, so he's running it, a good GM. So I recommend getting into it. How do you get the GM to choose your character, to choose you? Well, don't just post a set of statistics. This is a place that generally prefers theatre of the mind. So a description is always going to be more memorable than just a set of statistics. But on the other side, don't come up with an 80-page backstory. Don't come up with an 80-page backstory. You need to be focused, be concise, clear, atmospheric, and tie in your character to the description that the GM gives when describing the event. This it's not just you imposing your character on a game world, but you interacting with the game world that the GM creates that will create the best experience and give you the best chance of being invited back to, well, first of all, playing it in a one-shot, playing in a game, and being invited back to play again in the future. So make sure your character ties in with the game, you follow all the instructions given, and that you come up with something exciting and memorable. And if you do all those, you greatly increase your chances of getting in a game and having a great role-playing experience. I love role-playing on the OSG. It's a great place for gaming, and I hope to see you in the game soon.